how I love this city of mine. It never gets me down, yeah.
Good morning everybody. Dylan K. Johnson here. Welcome back to a new video. Today we're going to be talking about the Rep Fitness AB-5000 Zero Gap Adjustable Bench. Now, I've had this bench for about 3.5 years. I've used it, I've abused it, and I'm going to tell you guys everything I think about it today. So we're going to go over all the pros, all the cons. I'm going to show you all the different features that it has to offer, and then at the end I'm going to tell you whether or not I think it is worth it. So without further ado, let's jump into the video. All right, let's start things off with a question that I know all of you have, and that is, how much does it cost? As of filming this video today, April 15th, 2022, over on Rep Fitness's website, it is currently $599 and it is free shipping. Now, whether or not you think that's worth it, you can decide as you watch this video. Now that we've got the price out of the way, let's dive into the specs of this bench. Starting with the height, this bench sits 17.5 inches off of the ground, meaning that from the ground to the top of the pad, you're looking at 17.5 inches. The width of the back pad is 12.25 or 12.25 inches. The overall length of the bench is 57 inches, or basically a hair under 5 feet. Next up, the weight capacity. On Rep's website, they list this as having a 1,000 pound weight capacity, which is more than the majority of people will ever need. I don't know, if you need more than a 1,000 pound weight capacity bench, then you're in a league of your own, and I don't know what to tell you. But 1,000 pounds is the capacity that this bench is listed at. Next up, let's talk about the physical weight of the bench. And this is one of the largest negatives or main cons that I have with this bench, is just how heavy it is. This thing clocks in at 110 pounds, meaning that it is an absolute unit of a bench. It's an absolute tank, and you can definitely tell when you go to move this thing around, it weighs a hell of a lot. But with that weight, there's both positives and negatives to it. The main con being that it's very difficult to move around, especially in a smaller confined space such as a garage or home gym, where you're constantly having to move the bench in and out of the rack, maybe over to a different machine in order to do different exercises, different movements. Basically, you're moving it around a lot versus in a commercial setting where the bench just kind of sits in place wherever it may be and it's not getting moved around a lot. Now, on the opposite end of that, the weight has a very nice added effect of increasing the stability of this bench amazingly. Meaning I can sit here right now and I can really try and rock on this thing and it's not budging at all. I mean, you guys could see I'm just sitting here, it's squeaking a little bit, but it didn't friggin' move. So this bench is one of the most stable benches, once you've got it kind of set up where you want it, that I've ever used, especially when it's in its flat position. That is a huge positive that goes with that added weight. Another nice added feature for stability are the rubber feet that are on each of the 5 legs of this bench. They just kind of help the bench stick in place no matter what surface it's resting on, whether it's plywood like I have in my rack, or whether it's a rubber flooring like I have here throughout most of the gym. These are just horse stall mats. Those rubber feet kind of really help to anchor the bench in place and prevent it from slipping and sliding around, while the weight gives it that really solid stability. Now that we've got these specs out of the way, let's dive into some of the different features that this bench has to offer. First and foremost, let's look at the zero gap aspect. This is something that, to my knowledge, no other bench currently on the market offers anything like it, so it's a very large selling point and it's completely unique to the Rep AB-5000 Zero Gap Adjustable Bench. Say that 5 times fast. But what is it? How does it work? What does it do? Essentially, the seat pad of this bench is able to be moved out and in via a pop pin underneath it. You just pull this pin down, slide it out, you can lock into position, you can tighten it down, or you can pull it out, slide it back in. And what this does is it allows you to eliminate the gap between the seat and the back pad, no matter the angle that the seat or the back pad is at. no matter what angle you're at, you're able to completely eliminate this gap between these two pads, which is an awesome feature. It's something that I've absolutely loved about this bench. No more do you have to worry about a giant gap right where your tailbone's sitting, being either too high or too low on the bench for when you're flat benching. It's a super unique and awesome feature that I absolutely love. It was actually one of the main features that really sold me on this bench back when I first got it 3.5+ years ago. Now, with that being said, it does have, again, a couple of cons that go with it. Primarily being the fact that there is a specific order to which you have to actually adjust this bench, otherwise it won't adjust and it'll kind of get jammed up. And the fact that with this being able to move, it adds a little bit more kind of jiggle or instability to the seat pad itself. However, once you kind of use this bench, you're able to kind of get used to adjusting the order of adjustment. Basically, you have to start by sliding the bench pad out. Then you go through, adjust the back pad to your desired position. Then you adjust the seat pad, and then you can slide the seat pad back in. Otherwise, if you try and start off by leaving the seat where it is and either say trying to adjust the seat up or adjust the back pad up, you're going to end up binding and jamming up right here where the pads connect. They're going to kind of squish together and you're not going to be able to move it. So it's one of those things that's kind of like, it's annoying to get used to it first, but once you've done it enough, you kind of get used to that whole pattern of, all right, I got to move the pad out, lift this up, move that up, move it back in, and you're done. It takes all of an extra 20 seconds to adjust the pad position, and once you're set up and good to go for the set. The other thing that I talked about is the slight jiggle or instability. Because you have so many moving components here, it does have a little bit of extra wobble. So you can see here, just as I'm kind of moving my hand around on this, it's moving just a little bit. Now, you are able to, once you have the seat pad in the position that you want it, you can tighten down this twist knob or this pop pin underneath it, and that will eliminate the majority of this jiggle. So you can see here, it's almost gone right from there, right compared to what it was. However, 99% of the time, I just kind of leave the pop pin unscrewed just enough to where I'm able to just pull it out, slide it, let it go, and then I don't worry about it. The little bit of jiggle and wobble here has never once caused me any issues. It's just one of those things where if it really does bug you, once you've got the seat in position, you can lock that twist knob or pop pin, whatever you want to call it, into position, and then you're locked down and solid, rock solid, good to go. So that's kind of one of those cons where it adds an extra step to it. Yes, you can kind of get by without it, but it's just something to kind of note. Now that's the zero gap feature, but another great feature is that this bench can also be used for decline work. By utilizing a leg roller attachment that's able to be slid into the top of the bench and secured in place, you can turn this bench into a decline bench. Now personally, I don't own the decline attachment, so I can't speak to how well it works. I know that a lot of people do like it, but personally, like I said, I don't do any kind of decline work. At most, whatever I would do with a decline bench is like crunches or sit-ups. So for me, it would have just been a hassle having to kind of store a whole nother attachment, go through the whole process of setting it up just to use it for one movement and then take it off and find another place to put it. So for me, the decline was not a huge selling point, but it is a great feature of this bench if that is something that you're looking for. And as of right now, the decline attachment is the only attachment that Rep makes for this and their other FID benches. So in the future, they might have plans to come out with different attachments for it, but keep in mind that for the time being, as of filming this video, that is the only attachment for this bench. Moving on to the next feature I want to cover, we're going to talk about the angles of adjustability. One really nice feature of this bench is the stainless steel laser cut numbering that shows you every single angle that you're able to achieve with this bench. So for this, specifically for the back pad, it has 7 different degrees of adjustment, ranging from 0 degrees all the way up to 90 degrees in 15-degree increments. Next up, we have the seat, which is able to be adjusted to 5 different positions, ranging from -15 degrees up to 45 degrees, again in 15-degree increments. And then if you add on the decline attachment, Rep claims another 5 angles of adjustment ranging from -15 degrees up to -75 degrees. Again, in those 15-degree increments. So that means that this bench is able to move through a very wide variety of angles and adjustments to suit your needs. And again, with all of those different degrees of adjustment, you're able to eliminate that gap completely utilizing the zero gap feature. The bench itself has a nice handle located down at the base of the front, which is what you use to move it around. Again, it's pretty heavy, so picking it up from there can be a little bit annoying, but it's manageable, it's doable. I've done it for the past 3.5 years. Now, another little feature of this bench that isn't technically a feature of this bench is that it's able to be stored vertically. So something that I really like about this bench is whenever I need to get it out of the way, I'm able to pick it all the way up and I just rest it on the top of the pad here, and it's able to be stored vertically. It's extremely stable, and I've been doing that for, again, about 3.5 years with zero damage to the pad itself or to the bench. So it's something that's not stated on Rep's website, but you are able to store this bench vertically. Just when it's vertical, try not to slide it around on the pad, otherwise you could risk ripping or damaging the top of the pad. So that's kind of a nice little bonus feature of this bench. All right, now that we've covered all the different specs and features of this bench, let's talk about the pros versus cons. I've touched on them lightly throughout the duration of this video, so let's dive into them a little bit more. First off, let's get into the pros. They state on the website that this bench is commercial grade, and I have to 100% agree with that. This bench is on par or better than almost every single commercial bench that I have used, and that includes things like Hammer Strength, Life Fitness, Precor, Cybex. Any commercial bench I've ever used, this thing is equal to or greater than those benches. And that's one of the biggest pros of this, is it is a tank. This thing, when you set it down, it is not going anywhere. It is stable, it is solid, it's a unit of a bench is the best way to describe it. So with that, this thing is built to last. The quality is extremely impressive. As I said, I've had this thing for about 3.5 years. I've used and abused it. We've thrown it around the gym and it has no damage. There's no parts or pieces that have broken on it. The pad, this is the original pad, and this is actually the older version of the pad. It's since been replaced with a newer material. And even this, I have a small scuff somewhere in the center of it. But the pad itself is completely fine. There's no scrapes, scratches, tears, none of the stitching is coming apart. This thing is held up extremely well over the past 3.5 years of use. Now, moving on from those pros, let's talk about some of the cons that I have with this bench, and the chief among them being just the sheer weight of this bench. Again, it's 110 pounds, and this thing is just a pain in the butt to move around. Even with my space, which is a little bit larger than the majority of people, I try to keep it as open as possible so that I'm able to maneuver things around here. I don't want it to be super compact and tight, but even with my larger space, this thing is a huge pain to move around. And don't even get me started on the little 2-inch lip that's around my lifting platform here, my deadlift platform and my platform. Getting this thing up and over that little edge, if I take it off of it, is a freaking nightmare. This thing is so heavy that it just kind of limits how much I really want to do with it in all aspects. I would like to maybe take it over to my functional trainer and do some movements in there with it, different types of things, but because it's so damn annoying to move, 99% of the time I forego that and I just swap in a different exercise. So yeah, that's kind of my only real con about this bench. Everything about it is amazing, and it's been extremely great over the past 3.5 years. The only other thing that I talked about before is the slight wobble in the seat pad, which again, if you tighten down the pop pin underneath, you pretty much eliminate that wobble. But even without it tightened down, I've never had any issues with that. 99% of the time, I don't tighten down that pop pin. I just leave it out so that it's quicker and easier to adjust, and I've never had any issues with that little bit of wobble. The only other slight con that I had, which took a little while to get used to, was just the order of operations to adjust the bench itself. So basically going from pulling the seat out, then you go through and you adjust the back, then you adjust the seat to where you want it, then you slide it in, and then if you want, you can tighten the seat down and lock it into place, and then you're good to go. So kind of that whole process of making sure that you're able to actually adjust it took a little bit of getting used to, but once you've done it enough, I haven't had any kind of real issues unless I'm just like zonked out in the middle of a workout or something and I just completely brain fart and like, why is this not coming up? Oh yeah, I didn't slide the bench out. Dink, 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 and it's all done. So that's not really a huge con. It's more just one of those things that you take a little bit of time to get used to. So there you have it. Those are kind of my pros and cons. As I said, the only real downside to this bench is simply how heavy it is. But if that isn't an issue for you, if you don't think that'll be an issue, then by all means, I highly recommend this bench. It is going to outlive anybody out there. They even offer a wide pad that you can get for this bench so that you can actually have something similar to like the Thompson Fat Pad on this. This bench is amazing. I've had it for about 3.5 years. It has withstood the test of time. I beat this thing up and it is still going. So there you guys have it. I would give this bench, if I had to rate it on a scale of 10, in my opinion, I would say a solid 9 out of 10. The only thing, again, is just that weight, which for me personally, it's not a huge deal breaker, but for somebody like my wife, she has a very difficult time moving this thing around comfortably. She's able to do it just fine, but moving it around comfortably without worrying about it dropping on her, her slipping, anything like that, and potentially getting injured, it's just kind of one of those things where I'm going to be looking at getting something that's potentially a little bit lighter, but on the same level as this. So there you guys have it. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, I would really appreciate it if you could hit that like button, maybe subscribe if you guys want to stay up to date, because spoiler, I've got the AB 4100 coming in the next week or so, and we're gonna do a head-to-head comparison between those two benches. That's kind of like the, I want to say, little brother to this bench. So it's going to be an interesting comparison. That's going to be coming sometime soon. So yeah, little spoiler for you guys. So hit that subscribe button, maybe ring the bell too. But anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. As I said, if you did, definitely would really appreciate it if you could hit that like button. It really helps out, helps support the channel. If you guys are interested in checking out this bench or anything else from Rep, I will have a link down below in the description. That is an affiliate link, so if you decide to purchase anything through them and you use that link, I get a little bit of a kickback. Just helps to support me so that I can continue making these videos for you. The more you guys use it, the more cool stuff I can get so that I can show you guys what it is, how it works, and compare it to other things in my gym. Yeah, maybe even in the future I'd be able to do some giveaways if you guys use that link enough. So use that link. But that's going to be it for me today, guys. Again, as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.
Helicopter, helicopter.